everybody. Welcome back to the Make It Up As I Grow podcast. I hope you guys have all had a great weekend, had a great little break from the week, and we are ready to start a new one. I hope everybody is working on their 2025 goals. They're working on their intentions, all that fun stuff. I have never been this productive, I think, in my entire life. You guys love my routine that I have built for myself. It is unmatched, and I'll probably switch it up from time to time because I love a little bit of variety, but I love getting up in the morning and getting on with my day. And that was truly the whole point of me creating a good morning routine, was I can't wait to wake up to it. I have been going and working out 6:30 every morning. I know, shocker, but I found something that I absolutely love and it makes me excited to get up and get out of bed. I got a HotWorks membership and I freaking love it. I'm addicted. It's, for those of you who don't know what it is either heated infrared workouts. You go into a sauna that fits about max 3 people. Normally, I just do workouts by myself. I've had a couple instances where I've worked out with somebody else, but it's been really fun for the most part. Not for the most part. It's been so much fun. It's 24/7. I can go whenever I want and you schedule them. There's no cancellation fee. There's no late fee. So there's really nothing holding you accountable, but I absolutely love it. So there's no need for me to have a cancellation fee in order for me to go. I just get up and go every morning. It is so much fun. They've got, different cardio classes like cycling and rowing. They've got a whole bunch of stuff in there. And it's so much fun because it's heated, it's infrared, and you're burning calories like crazy and you're sweating like crazy. When I come out of there, it looks like I just went to war. And it's the best feeling. I'm having so much fun with it. I've been trying all different kinds of workouts. I do Pilates and hot yoga. I've done core workouts, like glute workouts. I've done the cycling. I've done all of it. They've got weights in there too. I hate lifting, but they're there and I'll probably use them at some point. But it's been so much fun. I cannot wait to wake up to it. And I get up every morning and I journal, and I've been reading my Bible. And my mom actually got me this really great book to help me understand the Bible better, and it's a daily devotional for 365 days, and it puts the Bible and different books of the Bible into layman's terms, which is super nice because I'm actually reading the Bible for the first time in my life at age 23, and it's very confusing. So anyways, a little bit about my morning routine. I've literally been getting up at 5:30, 5:45 every morning to go work out and come home and do whatever I need to do to get ready for my day. It's been so much fun. Anyways, definitely not at all what we're going to talk about today. But being 23, I have learned a lot about other people. And one thing about me is I love observing and I love people watching. It's like one of my favorite things to do. But I've learned so much about other people, being in different kinds of friendships, relationships, jobs. I moved to a completely different part of the country for college, and if you know anything about being in the Midwest, people are a lot different over there than they are like where I'm at in Colorado and Arizona, California, that whole side of the country. Definitely a lot different. So I've learned a lot about people from different areas and people definitely being raised different than you per se. So I've learned a lot about people's behavior, and I wanted to do this episode because just in the past couple years and just being in my 20s in general, I have picked up on some red flags that you typically don't really think about or you ignore. I always joke around about how if I'm talking to a guy, which hasn't been for a couple of years, but whenever I'm talking to a guy and there's clearly red flags and my friends are like, Macy, hello, red's my favorite color. Like, it's totally a joke, but it's so true because I wish I would have picked up on a lot of red flags in relationships, talking stages, situationships, friends with benefits, that whole thing. I have done it all. I could write a novel about my love life for the past however many years I started dating. I think when I was 13. So anyways, needless to say, I've learned a lot about people, and there's so many red flags I have picked up on, but there's also so many green flags in people that have yet to be acknowledged. And some of these might be general things, but I think that they're extremely important to acknowledge and to note. And when you are, making a new friend or you are getting into a new relationship, I think it's very important to know all these things. So I made an entire list of red flags that I have picked up in people, in relationships, both, like just general red flags. I've also listed some green flags that I think that everybody either needs to start doing or just look for in other people, and to really acknowledge them and take note of them, because the green flags are just as important as the red flags. The red flags you definitely need to be more cautious of, for sure. But we're gonna go through them, and that way you can save yourself some destruction and save yourself some deterioration of your mental health when you learn these. So let's go. So the first category I want to go through is red flags in friendships. These are definitely not in order. These are just things that come to mind for me. So lack of reciprocation. Friendships are a two-way street. If somebody in your life that you're friends with is not reciprocating the same effort, energy, support that you're giving, it's because they don't want to and they don't care enough to do that. And once they start doing it, it's normally pretty difficult to get them to start reciprocating what you're giving out. So in the long run, it's just easier to not really entertain those friendships that aren't really giving a whole lot back to you. Gossiping. I love a good gossip just as much as the next person. I gossip with my best friends all the time. But if that's the only thing they're talking about, if they're constantly talking about bringing people up that they really know nothing about, I've been guilty of this before. I'm not gonna hop up on my high horse and tell you that I'm perfect. I've definitely done this before. But you can tell a lot about a person by just their conversations and what they like to talk about. I love talking to my friends about how we can be better versions of ourselves, trips to take, what I think would be so fun. Oh my gosh, do you see this person got engaged? Oh my God, do you see this person was on their second baby? Just those kinds of things. But when you have a friend that gossips and that's like all they can do and they can't carry on a conversation that doesn't revolve around gossiping, it's really hard to be around. And honestly, it's really draining too, because you're like, can we talk about something, meaningful, something that matters? Just really take note of what your friends love to talk about. So, jealousy. Your friends should not be jealous of you. They should either inspire you or you should be inspired by them. Because in friendship, you are there to lift each other up. And that's what I absolutely love about friendship, is there's no obligation to one another. There's no ring like you're married. There's no committed relationship like you would be if you were dating somebody. You just meet this person one day and you decide, I like them. Like, I'm going to keep them around. They're going to be my buddy and we're going to be like this. There's no tie, official, legal tie to each other, but you should be there to lift each other up, not bring each other down, not be jealous. If you are jealous of your friend's success, you probably shouldn't be friends with them, because that is just going to hurt your friendship in the long run. Excessive negativity. I go in spurts where I am pretty negative. I think it's normal for everybody. But when that is their entire personality, that is something I cannot do, especially because I have worked so hard to build back up my positive and optimistic attitude. And I try my best to be that friend that is positive and uplifting and introduces you to new ways of thinking, just because I've learned a lot from my healing journey and from reading a ton of books and just wanting to be better. And if I'm talking to you about something and you always look at the negative, I physically cannot be around that, because the times that I have been around that, I've turned into it. Like the saying goes, you are who you surround yourself with. And so excessive negativity is just a flat out no. It's sad and it's draining. It is so draining being around somebody that is so negative all the time. And unfortunately, I have had these friends and it's hard to let them go because they have such a poor outlook on life. And as much as you can try to help them and try to change their perspective, you just can't. They have to do that for themselves, and you shouldn't have to suffer the consequences, and you shouldn't have to dim yourself down to make them feel better. So those are just people that you should not want to be around, especially if you are a happy, positive person, because as much as you think that you would like to rub off on them, you can. It happens. It's been done before. But ultimately, if you try too hard to do that, they're going to rub off on you. And it's not going to be a good situation. Competitive behavior. I've had friends that have been competitive with me for no freaking reason. I've had a friend that made boys a competition. Oh, well, he asked me, he thought I was cute. He asked for my number. It's not a competition. And honestly, guys are the last thing on my mind at this moment. When I go out to the bars or with friends, I don't go out to meet guys. I go out to have fun with my friends and dance and have a couple drinks. So whenever I would go out with this friend, she would just make it a competition and make it known that all these guys wanted her. Great. That's not my intention whenever I go out. If that's yours, fine. You don't need to bring me into it. I'm just here to have fun. So people that have that competitive nature and want to be better than you should absolutely be inspired by your friends, but not trying to compete with them and make everything in your life a competition. And I had this with my friends growing up playing sports because most of my best friends were on my basketball team. So it was hard to draw the line between being competitive on the court and off the court. So competitive behavior is definitely something that you should look out for. When they're unreliable, you should be able to rely on your friends for literally anything. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to get too much into that. Disrespecting boundaries. Oh man, you guys. I haven't had this happen a whole lot in my friendships. But when it does, it's frustrating because setting boundaries and saying no for me is personally really hard because I used to be such a hard people pleaser, and saying no and being selfish with my time and my energy just seemed like ridiculously selfish until I learned it's not. But when they're disrespecting your boundaries and you've clearly set them out, stand firm on those. If you have friends that are trying to disrupt your peace, those aren't really good friends anyways. Friends that take advantage of you. I have had friends in the past that have taken advantage of me because they saw something in my friendship that would benefit them. Some of the times it's been boyfriends. I've introduced a couple of my ex-best friends to their boyfriends, and once they go off, they stop talking to me. And it sucks because you're welcome for the guy, but what about me? Some people really can only be friends with you because they see something in you that they want, or something that you have that they want to be a part of. So just be careful and take note of that and make sure that, you don't open yourself up too much to new people, is what I've kind of learned. I'm such an open book, but you really have to be careful with who you do that with. Lack of apology. If you bring something up that bothers you and they take offense to it and they try to turn it around on you instead of really thinking about it and being like, oh, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. Oh, you guys, that's such a big red flag. That's probably one of my biggest red flags. If there's anything you take from red flags in friendships, it's that one, is lack of apology. You have to be able to take responsibility and accountability for your actions. If you say something or do something that hurts me and I bring it up, I expect you to look at it from my point of view, as I would for you if the roles were reversed. So if they don't apologize for things that they know that they've done wrong, no, that's not gonna fly. Sorry, no. Isolation. And what I mean by this is when your friends isolate you from things that are important, like your self-care or your family or your career or your close friends. I have close friends that I consider like my sisters, and then I've had friends that I would hope lead up to that. But I have had friends in the past steer me away from my close friends, and I would go with them because I knew that if I brought up some of this stuff to my close friends, they would tell me the freaking truth. So when they purposefully isolate you from your friends and your family, your career, sports, school, anything important going on in your life, big no. So really take note of that. Getting into relationship, talking stages, situationships, friends with benefits, whatever, however you want to take this. Some red flags in relationships. Again, these are not in order. Controlling behavior. Love should not be controlling. If you are in a relationship with somebody who is trying to control how you think, what you do, who you talk to, I have misconstrued control for love in the past. And when you try to do something on your own and your partner gets mad, they're trying to control you. If they are trying to convince you of something that is completely opposite to what you're thinking and what you believe, no, absolutely not. I am my own person. I want to be able to do what I want. Not obviously to an extent. You want to be respectful of your partner, 100%. You should be respectful to your partner. I'm not saying go out and cheat. Don't do that. Please don't cheat. Oh my God, that's probably one of the worst things you can do. but I want to be able to go out and have fun with my friends without you being weird about it. Or I want to be able to wear what I want without you calling me a slut, which has happened to me before. And I'm very modest when I go out. I don't wear the half lingerie. I don't wear I think one time that was because I was trying to make somebody jealous, but, and it worked. But when I go out, I'm very modest. I don't like to wear the clothes that push up my boobs, and I don't like to have my ass hanging out. I would wear this out to a bar, truthfully, because it attracts the wrong kind of crowd sometimes. But I don't want to be told what to wear when I go out. So if they are trying to control you in any way, shape, or form, no. Red flag. Lack of trust. Relationships are built off of trust. Trust is the solid foundation to any friendship or romantic relationship. If you don't trust your partner or you don't trust your friends, you should not be involved with them in the slightest. Trust is the number one thing in relationships and friendships. That speaks for itself right there. Love bombing. Guys, I have been love bombed a couple times. Please take note of it. If somebody from the very beginning is literally giving their all to you in a very short amount of time, especially in the beginning, take note of it. Just don't do anything. Don't assume everything is love bombing, but just take note of it. Love bombing happens when somebody is overly loving and caring. Sometimes this involves them saying, I love you within the first 2 weeks, and then they stop. But you're so hooked because of what they did for you in the beginning that it's hard to let them go. I've been there. It's a tricky thing. And the people that do that are very sneaky with it. So just take note of it. Don't jump to conclusions right away if somebody's being overly loving in the very beginning of you guys talking or dating. Just take note of it, because if they suddenly stop and you feel like you need to give more to them, that right there is a sign that they were love bombing you and that you need to take a step back and really think about what you need to do moving forward. Again, jealousy. This one's hard for me because I do get jealous. I do. It's a natural reaction. You can't not get jealous if you go out and someone's flirting with your boyfriend. So, funny story. I have to tell this, and I love telling this story. So, my last boyfriend, I talk about him a lot on this podcast, and I don't even think he knows it. I don't think he listens to this. So that's why I'm so comfortable telling you guys this. But I remember we were out at a bar in Chicago. That's where we went to school. And we were sitting at this table, and he had good hair. He's Italian. He's got really thick curly hair. And there was this girl sitting across from us. We're all together. Like, my head is on his shoulder. Like, we're hands. He keeps kissing me on the forehead. Yada, yada, yada. I remember this girl was like, oh, like, I love your blowout to my boyfriend. And I was like, what? Like, what? She was like, oh, I love, like, and he, like, leaned over the table and was like, what did you say? And she ran her fingers through his hair. And I was like, if you can see me on the YouTube channel, my jaw's on the floor. I was like, that jealousy is a healthy jealousy, because you're like, this is my man. This is my girlfriend. This is my boyfriend. Like, don't do that. That I feel like is healthy, and that's normal. If you're in a more secure relationship, obviously, that I'm not going to get into, but being jealous of everything your partner does is very extreme. If they are jealous that you're going out without them, ooh, I've had that happen before. It's weird, it's gross, it's not a good look, babe. It looks desperate. So just take note of that. Oh, blatant disrespect. Just like friendships, blatant disrespect of your feelings, your emotions, and your problems. That speaks for itself right there. Oh, anger issues. I've had experience in this area. I had a boyfriend in high school, a short temper, and it never got physical. Like, I was never worried about that with him. Like, he's an angel. Like, he's a sweet guy. Like, everything this is fine now. But he would get so angry with me when I would bring up the slightest issue that I had about our relationship. Just trying to talk to him about something. Just trying to really figure it out, because that's how I am in a relationship. Like, I try to work things out with you and talk you through them. I don't jump right into the breaking up. That's stupid. He'd get so mad. And he would ghost me for like 3 days. So that's a huge red flag. That's another thing. If they get mad, They ignore you because of a problem that you brought up, dump them. Get rid of them because it's not going to change. It's actually going to get worse. Promise you that. Secrecy. So it's important to establish boundaries in a relationship. And I think that, privacy to an extent is important. Again, there's levels to this. But you should be keeping secrets from your partner. I tell my boyfriend when I have one, I tell them everything that happens. You get hit on at a bar, they're the first person I'm calling. Oh my God, you're never going to believe this. Or, oh, this asked for my number. Oh my God, guess who asked for my number? There should be no secrecy. I think that secrecy in a relationship is bullshit. Because when you think about marriage, you are literally merging your lives. You are merging your assets. You are merging, you are merging into each other and you become one. That's literally the point of getting married. So if that is your track, not everybody wants to get married. That's fine. But when you are in a committed relationship with somebody, I don't think secrecy exists because that just looks sketchy in my eyes. So if they are keeping anything from you, red flag. If they have a history of being dishonest, people lie and people fib. Sometimes people lie to protect the ones they love. Not saying it's the right thing to do, but it happens. And if they have a history of being dishonest with you and they have a history of not telling you the truth and keeping things from you, bye-bye. If it becomes like a pattern, if it becomes a consistent behavior, that is when you need to get rid of that person. Because no, being dishonest and lying, cheating, keeping things from people, especially the people that you love, it's just gonna hurt them.
Pause, because I had to grab my wine. Because some of these points that I've made get me heated. Anyways, cheers. So red flags in both friendships, just general things to keep note of, is manipulation. People can manipulate you in ways that you never thought you could be manipulated. And you don't realize it until they've done it. And you're like, what just happened? One thing I have learned in dealing with friendships and relationships is the biggest form of manipulation is turning things around on you. And them making you feel like everything's your fault. Manipulation and gaslighting go hand in hand here. If somebody apologizes for something, but they keep doing it over and over, it's to gain control and to keep on your toes and keep you around. But an apology without change is manipulation. And I'm sure you've seen that quote on Instagram at some point in your life because I see it all the time. But it's true. An apology without change is flat out manipulation. Because when people apologize, your natural human instinct is to forgive them. Because, oh, they said they were sorry, it's fine, they noticed it. But if they keep doing the things that they had to apologize to you for, that is manipulation. Because they are keeping you around. They are sucking you back in whenever they say sorry, just so you can stay long enough for them to do it again. Disrespecting your values, that goes without saying. If you're going to attack me for the things that I believe in and my true values, no. Because you should already be friends with people that align with your values or your morals. And if you're not, you come to a mutual agreement where you don't talk about it. I have a friend, we have completely different views on politics. We don't talk about it. We do not talk about it because we both know how we feel. We both know that we're going to disagree if we get into it. So we just don't talk about it. So disrespecting your beliefs, disrespecting your values, huge red flag. Emotional drainage. When you hang out with somebody and after you leave their house or they leave you or you're done hanging out with them and you just feel tired, you feel exhausted, note that because they're emotionally draining you because they can be a lot to take in or they're negative or they're trying to hold on to you and gain control. It's exhausting being with people like that. So lack of communication. Oh my God. That one is a big one for me. I am so understanding. Guys, we're all human. We make mistakes. Sometimes we screw up. Sometimes we say the wrong thing or we do the wrong thing or we think we're doing the right thing and then we realize that, oh crap, maybe that was a mistake. We're human. It happens to all of us. But not communicating with me about it is a whole other thing. When somebody does something and you see one side of it, you see what they've showed you. Sometimes an explanation goes a long way. A conversation goes a long way. There are so many things in life that can be solved with just a simple communication. Not everything, but a lot of things. because you're setting that trusting foundation to where you can start to agree on things and you can start to see things from the other person's perspective. There are so many people that are not in my life anymore that things could have been solved with a simple conversation. And they weren't, because some people don't want to have those hard conversations. But I am huge on communication, especially in relationships, because trust and communication and effort, I think, are the 3 solid foundations you need to set in any relationship or friendship, however you choose to look at it. But lack of communication on both ends is an extremely big red flag. Self-centeredness. Oh, guys, I've had friends like this, and they only care about themselves. I've had a friend who literally could not get ready on time for anything, and we were late to everything. I consider that rude. Some people like to joke about it. I consider it rude. If we have a plan to meet somewhere at a certain time, I'm always there like 10 minutes early, just in case. I leave a little early just in case there's traffic or things happen. But I have had friends where they have no urgency. They're only thinking about themselves, what they have to do there. And that is so frustrating, especially when your friendships and your relationships, you should not be selfish in either. Inconsistency. That goes without saying too. That's pretty self-explanatory. If you do something for me for a good period of time and you stop doing it, I'm sensitive, I'm a Pisces, I'm emotional, I will take that the wrong way. And I will make up a scenario in my head until you tell me what that's about. So inconsistency is a big red flag. Unwillingness to compromise. That goes without saying. I'm not even going to get into that. Disloyalty. I am huge on loyalty. If you are in my life and you are close to my heart and I'm close to yours, I expect you to be loyal to me. If somebody hurts me, this is just, and I don't know if this is just a girl thing, and maybe it's a guy thing too, but I've talked about this before. If there is somebody that hurts me and you choose to hang out with them and you're okay with it and you're flaunting it and you know how it makes me feel, no, that's not okay. That is not okay in the slightest. That is not a real friend. That is not a real partner. My boyfriend in high school, ooh, I get heated whenever I talk about this. This happened a couple times. I let this slide way more than I should have, looking back on it now. But this is why I have the wine, because I knew I was going to get into this. I'm going to get into this. Should I? I'm going to talk about this in another episode. I wasn't planning on bringing this up in this episode, but I think it's funny. So, I'm sorry. I think this is so funny. And I can laugh about it now. And me and this guy are on good terms. We are totally good now. He has a girlfriend. He's happy. We are so good. We're friends. We don't talk a whole lot, but we're good. We're cordial. Everything's fine. We actually laugh about this together now when we do talk and see each other. But one of my so-called quote-unquote friends, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm doing air quotes, but one of my friends, quote, quote, liked him. But she only liked him when we were together. And we dated 4 times, I think. 3 times, 4 times, whichever. Still way too many. But she only liked him when we were together, which I thought was so odd. But anyways, I remember she would Snapchat him, which I thought was odd, because they didn't really know each other that well, and they did have a class together. And I remember that one of my teachers knew that me and him were dating, and she was like, hey, do you mind taking this piece of paper over to this classroom, which is where he was at? And I was like, sure. So I went in there and I saw them kind of flirting. I was like, that's kind of weird. She was like doing the thing where she like puts her arm on his shoulder and is like, oh my God, you're so funny, hey, that type of thing. And I was like, that's really weird. She's being very touchy with him. And she obviously knows we're together. She's one of my friends. And so I was like, this is weird. So I brought it up to him and I was like, listen, I don't really feel comfortable with this. Is why I have had trust issues for so long, you guys. I'm going to get into a whole different episode about things I've learned in relationships. But I think this is good for now. This is a great example of disloyalty on my friend and my boyfriend's point of view. So this is so funny. I'm just really unfolding all of my high school drama right here on this podcast. But you know what? Great content, so I can't complain. Anyways, Macy, get right into it. Listen, I really don't feel comfortable with you talking to her, hanging out with her. They had gone to lunch a couple times, and he would never ask me to go to lunch, ever. He didn't treat me great, obviously, if you couldn't already tell. But they would go to lunch all the time, which I was like, I'm not stupid. There's something going on here. And I would get so mad about it. And then he'd get mad that I would get mad. Anyways, sorry, I'm not going to get into that. But I remember one time we were just hanging out and we were watching TV and he was laying on his back. I'm trying to give you guys a visual as much as I can. I was laying on my back and I was also laying on my back, but my back was like on his midsection and his arms were in front of me. So his phone was right in front of my face and he was going through his phone, and was on his phone right in front of my face, which I thought was really odd in that moment because he never did that, because he would always take his phone with him because he was snapping other girls and getting pictures from other girls and hiding things from me. I let a lot slide, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But I remember this friend snapped him, and immediately I was like, dude, I thought I told you to stop snapping her. He goes, I literally left her on red an hour ago. He opens the Snapchat from her, and it is a picture of her boobs. That image is branded into my brain. And I got up and I left, and I was 15. We were 15 at the time. I literally had to call my dad to get me to come pick me up at his house because I couldn't drive yet. And I was like, this is not what a normal 15-year-old relationship should feel like. But so that is why I'm huge on loyalty from my friend's point of view and my boyfriend's point of view, because what the heck was that? So that's a huge red flag. If they are not loyal to you, if they're not sticking up for you, if they're still being around people, this goes in friendships and relationships. If there is somebody out there that like maybe you're not really comfortable with them seeing, or there's something that you're uncomfortable about in any situation, if they know how you feel about it, they still choose to do it, goodbye. No, that is blatant disrespect. Oh, this one's my favorite, victim mentality. It's probably not my favorite, but I think it's extremely important. People with a victim mentality actually drive me crazy because it shocks me that people think like that. And it's sad because this world is not all dark and damp and sad. It's not. It's just how you choose to look at it. It's all about perspective. And people that have that victim mentality, like, oh, everything is happening to me. This happened to me. Like, I don't deserve to be happy because bad things always happen to me. Well, if you have that mindset, then things are going to happen for you like that. So those are people, I wouldn't say that's a red flag. That's just a trait I choose not to be around. And we've already talked about this, overstepping boundaries. That's a huge thing for literally both. I am so sorry for literally unraveling all of my high school drama. I've got more. I've got so much. Enough of the negative red flag talk. We're going to talk about some green flags that I think should be acknowledged in friendships and relationships, because sometimes we tend to focus too much on what's wrong with people and not what's right with people. So, green flags in friendships is mutual support. I love my close girlfriends because we support each other through everything, and it's mutual. Whenever my friends get promotions or something great happens in their life, I am the first person to jump on the happy train and be like, this is awesome, this is amazing, and they do the same for me. My favorite thing ever is my friends all listen to my podcast. They all know I have one. They would be terrible friends if they didn't know, but they always listen to it and they'll send me clips or quotes from it. And they're like, oh my God, this is great. You said this perfectly. And they post about my stuff on social media and they're just so supportive and so they're not judgmental. Sometimes they are, but we have to be a little bit judgmental of our friends because we want what's best for them. But just, I have such an amazing support system around me that's not family. I have people in my life that feel like family and they're not blood related in the slightest. And I cannot be more grateful for that. Active listening. Do you know how good it feels to have those friends where you can just rant and they will listen to you and they will be there? And I love having those conversations where they don't necessarily have to say anything, but just having somebody there to listen to whatever's going on in your head. Because ultimately, as much as I preach journaling on this podcast, sometimes that doesn't help. Sometimes you gotta talk about it. I most of the time talk to my parents about it. There are some things I can't talk to my parents about. So I go to my friends, obviously, or my cousin or whoever. But when it's so good to have somebody there to listen to you and just be there to sometimes listen to your crazy. And that's just a huge green flag. Respect for your boundaries, that goes without saying. Reliability, you should be able to rely on your friends. They should be able to be there when you need them, 100%. And if they're not real friends, that's simple as that. Healthy communication, again, goes without saying. Healthy communication is so good in both friendships and relationships. Empathy, I'm so empathetic. And it's so important to have people in your life that are, because I have a couple friends that are hard asses. They'll tell me as it is, but they're also like, we feel you, we get you. so important and such a green flag that I think goes unnoticed 80% of the time. Shared joy. Again, you should not be in competition with your friends. You should be there to lift each other up. And I love, the best feeling ever is when I get so excited about something and I tell one of my friends and they get excited with me. Or counter that, if there's something that pisses me off to no end and happens where it's just like, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. This person did this or this person said this, and they get mad with me. Oh, I love that. That is my favorite thing ever. I loved telling my hometown best friends about college drama and vice versa. And they would get so mad with me. Oh my God, I can't believe that. They don't even know these people and they're getting upset with me. It's awesome. It's great. Just that shared mutual emotion, I think, is great. Encouragement goes without saying. Your friends should be encouraging you. They should not be trying to tear you down in the slightest. Non-judgmental. That whole trend going around on TikTok right now where it's like we listen and we don't judge. I have a couple things that I have done in my life where my friends do judge the hardest, as do I, because those things were not the greatest. But they don't judge me for making mistakes, ultimately. They're like, you go through those things. You make mistakes as human beings. It's fine. We all do it. But my friends are the least judgiest people ever, which is amazing. Balanced effort, again, goes without saying. Everything should be reciprocated. The effort, the support, the love, the energy, the shared joy, all of it. Relationships and talking stages, whatever we covered with the red flags. Trust and respect. If you don't have trust in a relationship or friendship, it's not going to be good. It's going to be rocky. If you can't trust the person that you're with, you're going to be incredibly insecure. And when you're insecure in a relationship, it comes out in really ugly forms. Believe me, because I've been there. Make sure you can trust the person that you're with, because why would you want to be with somebody you don't trust? It brings up your anxiety. It makes you anxious. It ultimately leads to you trying to control them because you don't trust them. But like I said, with the whole manipulation and controlling part, that's where it starts, is the lack of trust. So trust is big in relationships. If you can trust the person that you're with, huge green flag. If they are open and honest with you about everything, mwah, chef's kiss, love that. And the respect part, again, goes without saying. Emotional availability. I have dated and talked to some emotionally unavailable men. It's not fun, because I'm very emotional and I'm very sensitive. And I show how I feel. Like, I am not ashamed of it in the slightest, because why would I be? It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to share what you're feeling. Like, you're supposed to. You're human. Supportiveness. When your partner is supportive of you, that's all you could ever ask for. So I just think that that's something that totally goes unnoticed sometimes. So healthy conflict resolution. If I can sit down and have a mature conversation with you and you're not going to overreact. Guys, I learned heartbreak from such a young age. And I have been in the most toxic relationships before. And it wasn't until my most recent boyfriend that we're no longer together. We no longer talk, which is really, really sad. But it wasn't until I met him and we started dating, I learned what a healthy relationship looks like. It wasn't until my last boyfriend that I could really open up and talk about things that were bothering me without worrying about how he was going to react. Because in my past relationships, whenever I would bring up something that would upset me, it would automatically be turned around on me. And they would get defensive and they would make it my fault. Me and my last boyfriend started dating where I could fully open up and fully be honest with him about how I felt about certain situations. And he was so respectful about it. And it was shocking to me. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Where's the yelling? Where's the anger? Where's the ghosting? None of that happened. And it was a really nice change. So when you are dating somebody or talking to somebody and you bring up something that bothers you, if they get defensive and try to turn it around on you, shoo, goodbye. A huge green flag is how to properly handle conflict. My last boyfriend would not let me go to bed until we figured our stuff out. We never fought. We would have little arguments here and there, but over something so small. And it wasn't even arguing. It was just us talking and trying to understand. We never had this big blow up fight, which I'm very grateful for. He was very persistent with me in a lot of ways. If I was upset or I was pushing him away, dude would not leave me alone until we figured it out, which I love. So, green flag. Independence is a huge green flag. I am such a believer that you need to be your own separate person before you get into a relationship. As somebody who has tried to morph into people that I was dating, it's not healthy. You need to have your own life. You need to have your own friends. You need to have your own career. Your partner, your fiance, your girlfriend, wife, husband, boyfriend, they cannot be your entire life and your entire being. Shared values. I think it is extremely important to be dating somebody with the same lookout values and morals as you. Like, that just goes without saying. Because if you don't, like, it's not always like the end all be all, but it's extremely important when you are trying to make those big decisions, like having kids, where your kids are going to go to school, like private or public. Are you going to put your kids in church? Are we going to go to church? When are we going to take our kids to church? Are we going to baptize our kids? Things like that. Really talking about those things before you get super into your relationship especially is going to be important. But having shared values is a huge green flag, because your relationship, so if you choose to head towards the marriage track, it's going to be a lot easier because you agree on all of these things that you want for the rest of your life. So look for those now instead of later. See, again, goes without saying, and just kindness and team mentality. Your partner should be your teammate. They should be your number one supporter. They should not be trying to challenge your thinking, I think is important. But having a team mentality where it's like, we are in this together, we will figure this out together. There is no you or I, there is an us. Extremely important, huge green flag. And just going to run through these real quick because I have been rambling on here for quite some time. I'm looking at my timer and it's been we've been chatting for quite a while, and once I get into the wine, I just can't stop talking. But anyways, so both green flags for both relationships, all that fun stuff, is authenticity. Being your true self is like how you're going to attract your people. People love it when you're authentic. It creates variety. It creates challenged thinking, and I just think that being authentic is the best way to show who you are to other people. It's a huge green flag. You're not trying to be like everybody else. You're not trying to morph into different versions of yourself to appease everybody else. Adaptability is huge because relationships are about sacrifice and adaptability, and you should be able to do that. Same thing with friendships. Being positive influences. When you're around negative influences, you guys, as much as you think that you're strong and you're like, oh, I'm not going to let that affect me, it will at some point. So make sure you are around people that are a positive influence and just want you to be the best version of yourself and want to love you and support you no matter what. Generosity is huge. People being generous, that goes without saying. That's just a huge green flag. Loyalty, again, I'm huge on loyalty. Huge on it. If you're not loyal to me, goodbye, I don't need you. Sorry, that's just me. So I have dealt with enough disloyalty and dishonesty throughout my life that I don't deal with it anymore. I don't. Share humor. That is the best, when somebody has the same sense of humor as you. Me and one of my friends, me and each of my friends have a different sense of humor, and it's awesome because we just have so much fun and we laugh about whatever. So funny. Shared humor is so important because a huge part of friendship and relationships is being able to laugh at each other and with each other. Like, that's just a healthy form of friendship. Emotional safety and balance. Making sure that the people that you are around, relationship or friendship, you are emotionally safe. You are safe to express how you truly feel no matter what the emotion is. And just balance, creating a healthy balance between your friends and your relationships, because it is important if you are in a relationship to still be with your friends, hang out with your friends, talk with your friends, because hate to break it to you guys, but your relationship is not the most important thing in the world until you're married. That's my personal take. Anyways, I definitely rambled on in that episode, especially after getting into the wine, but I knew I had to go grab a glass after. I knew I was going to get into some of these topics and be a little heated. So this was funny. This was a good chat. This was not meant to be formal. Guys, this podcast is not formal at all. These are truly my life experiences, things I've seen in people, things I have firsthand experience in, things that I've seen my friends go through, family, all that stuff. This is not meant to be serious. This is totally meant to be a good, community full of men and women. I know a lot of my content is based off of being a strong, confident woman, but I welcome literally any male listeners. I think I give pretty good advice to both genders. So anyways, now that I'm done rambling, I will let you guys go and get on with your day or whatever you've got going on. But thank you so much for spending your time with me. I'm so glad we got to sit down and chat, especially because after my long day of work, this was really good for me, especially because I needed to wind down with a nice glass of wine. And I love to combine that with my podcast. So I am so proud of you, whatever stage of life that you're in and whatever you might be struggling with and you're not talking about. I love you and I'm proud of you and I see you. And I hope that I can give you a good positive platform to really listen to and be a part of. And this is a safe space. This is totally a safe space. Guys, I'm talking about my freaking high school drama on here, and I'm probably going to get into my college drama later on. So this has really been like a good positive outlet for me too. And all I'm doing is just trying to help you. So thank you again so much for spending this time with me. I know sometimes I ramble. It's just me. Sorry if you don't like it. Go listen to another podcast, but this is totally meant to be just a girl community, a girl chat, and we're just literally talking about life and being in our 20s because it can be messy. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great week and I will talk to you guys on Friday.